San Diego's median home price just hit $940,000. That's up 3.3% from last year. And if that is all that you read, you think you finally understand the market. You don't. Not even close. There are two stories going around right now. One says the whole county is crashing. The other says it's exploding. Prices are going nowhere but up. Both are wrong. And both are lazy because they treat San Diego like it's one market. It isn't. It's dozens of markets stacked on top of each other. And right now, some of them are barely speaking to each other at all. Take La Mesa. One property type there just surged almost 19% year over year, up to $1,150,000. Another property type, it's in the exact same zip code, just fell 34% in 12 months. Same mailing address, same school district, opposite universes. Today, I'm walking through the full July 2026 numbers, countywide and zip code by zip code, and showing you exactly why San Diego real estate is currently playing a bizarre game of split personalities. Stick with me because by the end, you'll know exactly which version of this market you might actually be standing in, whether you're buying, selling, or just curious about what your home might be worth right now. Let's start countywide because this is where the split personality actually begins. Detached homes, the classic single family house with a yard. Median price, $1,150,000, up 4.6% year over year. Average days on market, 33. Inventory down 24.7% compared to last July. Months of supply right now, 2.5 months. Quick translation on that last number because it's the one that actually tells you who holds the leverage in this market. Months of supply measures how long it would take to sell every single home currently listed at the current pace of sales. Anything under 4 months, usually 6 months, but anything under 4 months usually favors sellers. Under 3 months, it gets very, very tight. And at 2.5 months, detached San Diego isn't just a seller's market. It's an ultra tight one. Buyers are fighting over scraps, and there simply aren't enough scraps to go around. Now, flip that over to attached homes, condos, townhomes. Median price, $659,000, up just 1.4%. Average days on market, 43, a full 10 days slower than detached homes. Inventory is climbing, up as much as 150% in some pockets. Months of supply, 4.1 months. That's 4.1 crosses a real line. That's a market shifting into a balanced territory, and in some corners, tilting towards buyers for the first time in years. Pictured as a tug of war, on the detached side, it's the buyers straining against the rope because there's only 2.5 months of it left before the listings run dry. They're desperate ones right now. They're the ones pulling hard enough, and some are paying above list price just to win. On the attached side, the rope finally has some slack in it. It's the sellers straining now because inventory is stacking up and buyers have room to negotiate, to wait, to walk away from anything that isn't priced exactly right. Same county, same headline median that you saw in the first 10 seconds of this video, but two completely different games depending entirely on whether the home you're chasing has a yard or an HOA. Well, why is this happening? Detached inventory keeps shrinking because a lot of owners who locked in low rates years ago simply aren't selling unless they have to. Fewer homes hit the market. The same buyer demand keeps chasing them, and the prices and speed, they both respond. Condos don't carry that same lock-in pressure nearly as hard. And lifestyle sellers, downsizers, investors cashing out, they're all listing anyway. More supply, calmer pace. Same economic backdrop, two very different reactions. Now let's zoom all the way in because this is where the numbers really get genuine. Two zip codes are tied to the fastest selling detached homes in all of East. Lemon Grove 91945 and in Rancho San Diego 91978, both averaging just 13 days on the market. Not 30, not 20, 13. Think of that as a drag race that ended up in a photo finish. But these two zip codes are winning at the race at two completely different mechanics. And understanding the difference matters whether you're shopping in either one. Rancho San Diego is a gridlock story. Right now, there are only 5 active detached homes in the 91978 zip code. Some people might call it Spring Valley, but it's technically a Rancho San Diego zip code. 5 total for buyers who choose from there. When supply is that thin, it barely takes any demand to clear the shelf. A handful of motivated buyers chasing a handful of homes. And you get a 2-week sale nearly every single time, hot market or not. Lemon Grove is winning the same race a completely different way through high volume velocity. More homes are actually hitting the market there, and they're still moving in that same 13-day window because buyers who've been priced out of pricier East County zip codes are flooding and looking for value, and they're moving fast the moment that they find it. Two different reasons, same result. So if you're a buyer targeting either of these zip codes, hear me on this. 13 days is not a typo. It's not a fluke. That's the new pace. You need financing, pre-approved, your offer strategy already decided, and honestly, a plan in place before the listing even hits the market for your saved search alert. By the time you're touring it this weekend, you may already be behind. Now, let's talk about the number that would make the scariest headline on the entire list. La Mesa, attached home, zip code 91941, down 34.3% year over year. From an $830,000 median down to $544,900. Read that on its own. It sounds like a neighborhood is in free fall. Here's how you learn to spot the illusion before it fools you, and it comes to 2 habits. First habit, always ask how many homes actually sold to produce that number. In this case, 3. 3 closed attached sales in La Mesa for the entire month of July. That is not a market crash. That's a small sample size, plain and simple. A few smaller, lower priced units happened to close this July in the same month that last year's median had built on a pricier outlier sale. Swap the 3 data points and the median can swing wildly. It has nothing to do with the values falling across the board. Second habit check. Check whether you're comparing the right timeframes. A single month's median, especially on low sales volume, can look nothing like a year-to-date trend. One slow month with a couple of unusual closings is not the same as a 12-month trajectory, and the headlines love to blur that line. Now, I want to be fair because that doesn't mean nothing is really happening in that zip code. Inventory for attached homes in La Mesa genuinely surged 150%, and months of supply hit 6.5 months, which is squarely buyer territory. Leverage really did shift towards buyers in La Mesa's condos this year. That part is totally true, and it matters if you're negotiating there. But a 34% median swing built on 3 closed sales is not proof that a neighborhood is in a fire sale situation. It's proof that you should always check what a percentage is actually measuring before you let it change a 6-figure decision. So this is the single most common mistake I really see people making when they're reading market reports. They see the percent. They never ask what's a percent of. So every time you see a scary or shocking real estate headline this year, run it through those same 2 questions. How many sales and what time period? Which 9 times out of 10, the panic disappears and what's left is a much smaller, more useful story. So here's what actually matters. Depending on which side of the table that you're on, if you're a buyer chasing detached homes in Lemon Grove or Rancho, San Diego, with your own eyes wide open, homes are still selling in 13 days. If you want to compete, you need to be ready to move fast. And in some cases, ready to pay above list price to get your offer accepted. If that's outside your budget or you're just outside your appetite for that kind of competition, look sideways instead of forward. The attached market in Allied Gardens, zip code 92120, is sitting on an average of 72 days on market and closing at just 91.6% of list price. That is a real number. Usable negotiating room for you in a submarket where detached homes are running $1,231,125, the most expensive in all of East County. The condo market there is quietly acting as the pressure relief valve for buyers priced out of the detached side. If you're a seller, don't let the detached headline numbers make you greedy. Even at 2.5 months of supply, the tightest reading on the entire list, buyers are still very price sensitive. They will pay fair, well-researched prices quickly. They will not chase a number pulled out of thin air. Overprice your listing and watch it sit a while a competitor 2 streets over priced it correctly and closes within 3 weeks. Now, if you're selling a condo or townhome anywhere near La Mesa, Allied Gardens, or another softening market, price it for the market that you're actually in today. The 4.1 to 6.5 months of supply market, well, not the detached headline that you keep seeing in the news. Price it for the market. Here's the bottom line I want you to leave with. There is no single San Diego housing market in July of 2026. There are dozens of them, block by block, zip code by zip code, sometimes property type by property type, on the exact same street. The only way to make smart moves, buying or selling, is to know precisely which market you're actually standing in before you make it. So here's my question to you. If you had $1 million to spend in East County right now, tell me in the comments, would you chase a fast-moving detached market in a 13-day period? Or would you take your time, negotiate harder, slower, in a condo market instead? I read every single comment, and I'll reply to as many as I can. If this broke the market down clearer than anything else that you've watched this month, hit like and subscribe. And I'll keep pulling these numbers apart every single month so that you always have these exactly what is going on before you make your next. I'm Stephen Rhodes, over Cold Banker Real. I'll see you in the next one.